Thank you so much for passing by. Today we are going to look at how you can be able to set or to create conditional access policy to require multi-factor authentication for all users in your organization. So conditional access policy allow you to create a security posture that your organization need according to your organization policy. And remember, multi-factor authentication, or what we call two-factor authentications, are enabled by default through what we call security defaults. One disadvantage with security defaults is that it requires multi-factor authentication and it provides additional security layer, but you cannot be able to customize that. If you want to do more customization, you want to be more granular, you'll have to use what we call conditional access policies. So for this video, I'm going to take you through how you can be able to create a conditional access policy to require multi-factor authentication for your organization. To be able to do that, work with me using your browser. Log into your tenant with your login credentials. Log into your tenants with your login credentials. So this is my tenant. I want to create conditional access policy. So you go to Microsoft Entra ID, which was known as Azure Active Directory, and you click on that. Once you click on that, the first thing that you need to do before you create a conditional access policy, you need to disable what we call security defaults. Security defaults come with what we call multi-factor authentication. Before you set up conditional access policy that require multi-factor authentication, you have security defaults turned on, which now provide that security before you are ready to set up your conditional access policy. So the first thing we do, we disable security defaults, and security defaults from overview. Then you go to properties tab, and then you scroll down. I recommend that you do this after you have created the conditional access policy. So first, you can disable. You need to disable this once you have your conditional access policy ready. So you just disable this and then turn on the policy. So this is where you turn it on, and you can see the message. With the security defaults disabled, your organization is vulnerable to common identity related attacks. So I do not recommend turning this off before you create the policy. Then here you're supposed to give a reason why you want to turn security defaults. And my reason here is my organization is using conditional access policy. Why are we turning it off? It is because you cannot use both security defaults and conditional access at the same time. So you select this option and you save. So disabling security defaults will leave your organization vulnerable to common attacks. So I'm going to disable that, but I've mentioned the best way to do it is first you create the conditional access policy, then you disable. Let's go ahead now and create the conditional access policy to require multi-factor authentication for your organization. So you scroll down on the left menu, you scroll down up to the security section, you click on that, and then you go to protect. Under protect, you go to conditional access. You click on conditional access. Once you go to conditional access, here there are two ways you can create a conditional access policy. Number one, you can create a new policy. So creating a new policy is whereby you specify everything. You don't have to go through the template, or you can create it through a policy or the policy from templates. So for this one, since it's a common conditional access policy, I'm going to create it from template. So you click create a new policy from templates. It will open a window with the different templates where you can select from. There are so many Policies you can create from template. For instance, the first one is require multi-factor authentication for admins, security info registration, block legacy authentication. You have so many of them here, but the one we want is require multi-factor authentication for all users. We are going to select this, and then we click on review and create. So this is the policy that we are going to create. This is the name. You can rename this the way you want, but what is recommended is to use meaningful names that you'll know that you're dealing with. Multi-factor authentication for all users. You can give it a name for your organization. You can add other, or you can name the way you want. Then policy states. It is recommended that before you deploy a policy, you put it under report only. Report only will give you a report of how your users will be affected. Before you even decide to roll this into production, you'll just need to use the report only. So report only will tell you how the policy will behave when it comes to your users. Then the template name, this is the template name where you've created that policy from. And then under assignments, you have users and groups. And in this one, we have included, we have all users included, and excluded is the current user. So we have my users excluded. So included is all users, excluded is current users. So it is always important to exclude yourself when you create a policy to avoid locking yourself out. And another tip to note that when you create a policy, it is always advisable to put it under report only to view how it will behave. Number two, select a small group to test your policy. Once you decide you want to roll it to production, before you roll it to all users, select small sample of users whereby you can deploy that policy and see how they will react. Let them give feedback so that you can know whether to roll it into production or to do some adjustment. Once you have that, then we have access control. Access control, we have grant access, but it will require multi-factor authentication. So for you to access the applications or your account, you'll be required to have multi-factor authentication turned on. Then you create the create button and your policy will be created. Once the policy is created, you can go to policies to see the created policies. And here you have the policies that you've created. We have created this policy. You can click on it and update it or change it or just review the policies you've created. This is the name, the assignment. You can click this link and see included is all users, excluded is current user, which is now my username that I've logged in. All targeted resources, which application or resources are targeted, all cloud apps, meaning if I want to access any cloud app under my tenant, I'm going to be required to set up multi-factor authentication. Then conditional, we've not put any condition. Grant, we have grant control. Under control here, we have said grant access. Then we have put it under report. So I've said before you put it on, select a small group of users where you can be able to test that. And that's how you create conditional access policy. There are various different conditional access policy you can create. For instance, you can limit access to your application within a certain geographical region using conditional access policy. Another one, you can limit type of devices that are going to access your application using conditional access. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any question at the comment section. Make sure if you're a new user to this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that subscription button, and also make sure you give me a thumb up to know that this video is helping you, or it is important, and so that we can be able to reach a lot of users or a lot of viewers. Thank you so much. Cheers.